What's going on, y'all? It is Crew, aka Araneae Storm, checking in for that Mercury in the 10th house. Mercury in the 10th house series that we are going to be concluding for this week. I am your cosmic root work astrologist specializing in evolutionary astrology. So if you're interested in learning about your past lives, if you're interested in learning about your mission and purpose and what you are pushing towards and past, okay, in this lifetime, you can definitely hit me up for readings and just all general readings. In general, I am currently at this time taking my readings on a donation based basis and also a barter and trade basis if we want to barter and trade basis. Okay, and so let's go ahead and hop right into it. We're going to talk a little bit about Mercury first, and then we'll jump into what it means to have Mercury in the 10th house. All right, let's go. I feel like I would just want to add like a little whoosh emoji. Not emoji, little transition, but okay, anyway, sorry. Moon is in Gemini today, so as I'm recording these videos, y'all bless. And Mars in Gemini, so I'm just like feeling very Geminian today, I would say. Okay, so when it comes to Mercury in the 10th house, we have someone who is very, Mercury in this sense is, what we talk about like communication, Mercury outside, Mercury outside the house. Communication, this has to do with any forms of divination. This has to do with any writing, research, drawing, music, any forms of even travel, short distance travel, even sometimes long distance travel, any kind of transactional money, and also those things can be seen. Numbers also can be seen with Mercury. Any type of mercurial things, Gemini, Virgo, rules over Gemini and Virgo things, you'll see with Mercury here. So when we talk about Mercury in the 10th house is scoped over, and 10th house is rules over Capricorn, the sign of Capricorn. So it has like this Capricorn-esque to it, and this is where we talk about like structures, systems, governments, politics, law. This is where we also talk about work, long-term goals. This is where we also talk about business, capitalism. Okay, this is when I feel like things is gonna change eventually in the community, because the 10th house also rules your legacy. So what it is that you're leaving behind. It also has to do with public status. So how you're seen in the world. It's the top of the chart, usually where your MC is found. And so your midhaven, which we'll talk about. I don't think I've talked about midhavens and stuff, but I'm gonna definitely start on this series. We'll talk a little bit about that in another video, because I don't want to throw y'all out. Okay, Mars in Gemini. So yes, basically you can definitely see like people who are worried, usually people that are very much so worried about how they're presenting themselves to the world. They want to come off as somebody who is an authority figure, usually in the stuff in the work that they do or how they're communicating. Usually they could see some type of kind of like Serial. And when I say Serial, can come off to be very serious when it comes to their forms of communication. The way they speak, the way they write, the way they talk can be very just kind of like, I don't know. It can give, depending on what's there, like what sign is there and what's aspect in there, it can definitely give like elder vibes, like sitting by the fire listening to the elder, like drop gems and stuff about their life and the things that they've been through, kind of sort of. You can definitely see somebody who has careers maybe in one of those things that I mentioned, or usually if not like government, politics, things like that. People who are like managers or CEOs, people who are usually the authority in what it is that they are speaking or in what it is that they are doing. Okay, they usually, Mercury in the 10th house usually wants to come up with some type of plan. They're very strategic when it comes to their goals as well. They kind of like are one of those people like Capricorn in the sense of like where they set their goals and then they work backwards. What I mean by that is they say, hey, boom, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to get to it. These are the steps that I need to take, and so a lot of times you can see this like matter-of-fact approach with Mercury in the 10th house. Once again, definitely want to check the sign that is governing with Mercury, and you also want to check the planets as well too. I mean the aspects that are there too, and also planets that are sitting with Mercury, if there are anything sitting with Mercury really, and also what's interacting with Mercury. So if Mercury is well, we'll get into that. I don't want to confuse y'all. This is just the basics of Mercury here. We also have coupon warriors and savings and budgets. Yes, I did put coupon warriors here because Mercury in the 10th house are usually the ones that are trying to save $1. They are not, they can splurge, but like they're still gonna check their budget. Like they're kind of like, do I have enough money for this? Like they're gonna be checking their accounts. Usually like, I don't know, do I have enough money for this? Can I spend? Can I splurge? I'm not really sure. Let me check my Palm Pilot. My Palm Pilot says I could spend it on this. Okay, cool. Do I have coupons? Do I have discounts? Can I go online to see if Michael's has a coupon code for me to use? Okay, that's what you can see. You can also see someone who is very solution based. Any problems that come up, Mercury in the 10th house is like, okay, how can I resolve this? Like, how can we get to a place where this can be resolved? You know what I mean? It's kind of like being in the HR department before you get to like the main boss, right? Like, you know, you have to submit your problem or submit your, you know, concern to HR before you can get to like Mercury in the 10th house, the big boss, right? Big business, okay, with Mercury in the 10th house. We also have like somebody who's very goal oriented, very much so thoughts, a lot of thoughts that are put into writing. Like this is where you can see somebody like writing. If they were to write a book, Mercury in the 10th house would be the people that had like, I would say, not just chapters. What do you call it when you have like multiple series? I guess you could just say multiple series of books, but they're like big books. You know what I'm saying? So I remember when my brother used to read Harry Potter books, and not only was he reading Harry Potter books, but I mean, they had like series of like Harry Potter books. You know what I'm saying? So this is like the person who writes books like that. You know what I mean? Or if they're writing like their biography, you know, their autobiography of themselves, or just bibliographies of people, whatever. This is where you can see somebody that like goes very into detail, has all the numbers, the dates, like, you know what I'm saying? It can be very calculated in that way. Definitely can be, Mercury in the 10th house can be a little, I would say, it's kind of like Venus in the 10th house. It can kind of be very materialistic, and superficial even to a certain degree, depending on, like I said, what's there, what's happening there. So you definitely want to check to see what it's kind of happening with with Mercury in the 10th house here. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a sense of stability, whatever form that looks like, but I think sometimes you can be caught up in the numbers. Like Mercury in the 10th house is constantly, usually checking to see, okay, how much money do I have in the bank? Like they're like adding up the numbers. Do the numbers add up? Do I have enough? Like, you know, if I don't have this much in the bank, like they can really stress themselves out. And that's just an example. It doesn't mean you have to be like that, but they can really stress themselves out on like how much money that they come in with. How much do they have? Do they have enough? You know, these are like the people who, for example, they'll go out to go get something to eat, you know, at this fancy restaurant and stuff like that, but they want to make sure that they have the money to go. You know what I mean? Like they're like, okay, well, I mean, I have the money, so I'm just gonna, you know, like I said, definitely can be like people who are like definitely penny pinchers. But if they want to go somewhere fancy, if they want to go somewhere nice, they're going to make sure that they have the money to splurge. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this kind of energy. So that's what I have for Mercury in the 10th house. We're going to move on to Mercury in the 11th house, and we'll be finishing up with Mercury in the 4th house. So you already know what it is. It's Araneae, so I'm checking in, checking out, without a doubt. And once again, make sure y'all, I forgot to say on the last video, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Leave me a comment below, and also hit that notification bell so you know when I'm posting. And I will see y'all on the next video. Mercury in the 11th house. Pieces and deuces.